Welcome to Subramani. Why do we have debt in our portfolio? One, for many people who do not understand equity, it is important that a major portion of their money be in debt, because they would panic during wrong times, and that kind of harm it can create. For any person beyond a particular age, you want more debt, because perhaps it would bring more stability and peace of mind to the person, so that person may be able to sleep better. This is very philosophical, but apart from that, there are 2-3 reasons. One is, first of all, your emergency fund has to be in debt, it can't be in equity. Now, for people like me with a very old portfolio, my emergency fund can also be in equity, because if I have a fund, if I have a share which is bought 40 years back, or if I have a mutual fund which I invested 20 years ago, it doesn't really matter when I encash it. During a good time or a bad time, it won't really matter too much, and so therefore I can afford to do that. But it does not mean every person who is starting can afford to do that. Any money that you need in the immediate short term, which include up to 3 years or maybe even 4 or 5 years, has to be in debt, right? There is absolutely no choice. So first of all, you need an emergency fund which will be in a debt. Second is, tactically, some money which you require in the next 6 months to maybe make a down payment for a car, or something which you require for your daughter's education or daughter's marriage, or anything like that, that you would like to have it in debt, because you don't want to see too much of high variation in that. You don't want a high standard deviation. You want simple things, and you're not too much worried about inflation in the immediate 1 or 2 years. Maybe it will be 7%, but that you're willing to live with that. So that much money will again be in debt. Thirdly, there are times when you don't want to put money in equity. You look at the markets and you feel, no, the markets are too high. As American markets are high, Indian markets are high, all markets are high, so let me not put money in equity. So tactically, you want to park that money somewhere in a debt fund. So these are 3 largely the main reasons why people put money in debt fund. So for each one, so let us say for an emergency fund, where should your money be? I love cash. So I think some money should be in cash, because sometimes when you go, the ATM is not working, the network is down, or you see a board there, or you see just a simple board saying money is being refilled, come after half an hour, right? Any of these things are possible. Also, if you go to a bank which is not your bank, then there is a restriction of you will be able to withdraw only 10,000 rupees. So that is another restriction. So some cash is required to be kept at home, whatever amount, 50,000, 1 lakh, whatever you think is an absolute emergency must, that is one. Second, you could keep in bank fixed deposits, because that's some people feel that's easier to break, because if you go on a Friday morning and say you want the money by Friday afternoon, you will get it. In a mutual fund, if you go on a Friday, very good chance that you will get it on a Tuesday, because they will want 1 full working day, especially if you are looking at the money at 3 p.m. right? If you redeem it at 11 a.m. maybe you will get it on Monday, but otherwise you will get it only on Tuesday. So here 2-3 days could be lost, and that could be crucial for a medical emergency. So some cash at home, some money in the savings bank account, some money in a bank fixed deposit, which is perhaps accessible through your credit card or through your debit card, and then some money in a liquid fund, or even in an ultra short bond fund, or even in a short term income fund, if you are willing to wait. So some money in a liquid fund, some money in a short term income fund, and some money in an ultra short fund. 6 months later, that money in the liquid fund can move to ultra short. The ultra short money can move to short term, because you still have, ultra short is as accessible as liquid fund. After some time, you may shift the whole thing to short term income fund, saying let it lie there, because it's all past there is no lock in, there is no such problem. So I'll get that money also as quickly as I want. So these are 3-4 places where you could keep your money. But honestly, for 99% of the viewers watching this, money kept in the bank fixed deposit is not too bad, considering that yes, there will be taxation, but if the amount is not too big, if you are keeping say 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, then it's not really a very big amount. But if you're going to keep 10-15 lakhs, the amount of interest that you get, you want to convert part of it into capital gain. If you don't, like for example, you kept money in an ultra short bond fund for 4 years, and then you had to withdraw, at least you will pay short long-term capital gain instead of paying tax. So from that point of view, you could keep money in an ultra short bond fund or a short-term income fund. But otherwise, honestly, with a 10,000 rupee tax rebate on savings bank interest, and if you're a senior citizen and you don't want to go through the hassles, I think bank deposit is not too bad. Second is the tactical asset allocation, saying 70% of my money is in equity, 30% has to be in debt, or 60% of my money is equity and 40% has to be in debt. That debt will be met by your public provident fund. Almost all of us statutorily carry a public provident fund. Those who have not opened, I'm not recommending it, but I'm just saying almost all of us have a public provident fund. Then some old historical policies which your mama, kaka, chacha, neighbor, somebody pushed on you, some LIC endowment policies, that is your debt. Then some of you may have been investing in NPS compulsorily or voluntarily. There could be some debt there, right? So these are all debt which is more or less there in every portfolio, and most of it is gilt. So you don't have to worry at all about default risk. But yes, you're going to get returns which is sub-inflation. Some of it may be tax-free, but definitely you're not beating inflation with these assets. That brings you to somewhere saying, okay, if a big portion of my money is lying in debt, then let some of it at least earn money. So there you could go for an all seasons bond fund, where the fund manager takes a call how much to put in gilt, how much to put in corporate, how much corporate deposits, how much to put in floating rate funds, right? He takes that call. Or she takes that call, and that total could be one portion of your debt investment. So whenever you don't know where to put the money, you keep on putting it there. I normally suggest that you put all that money in ultra short bond fund, but somebody who's putting a sizable amount, you want some return also. So you could put in an all season bond fund, or you could say, okay, this money I will put in gilt because I think interest rates are very interesting now. But at some stage you may decide that no, interest rates are too high. If I put now, the markets will come, the interest rates, when it comes down, I'll make money. But when interest rates are too low, if gilt is at 4% in the Indian context, then you may not want to put money, because first of all, 4% may not be attractive enough for you, and secondly, when the interest rates start going up, you will lose a lot of money on the mark to market. So based on all this, you create your own portfolio. Personally, I am not very much for company deposits, etc., though very many senior citizens may love it. But I think if there is a product available which allows you to convert your current income into capital gain, we should take that. So therefore, I prefer mutual funds over bank deposits and company deposits. But bank deposits, a basic minimum needed for your day-to-day living, for an emergency. That much money should be in bank deposits. So this is just summarizing the need for debt funds. Individually, I mean, I put some small amount of money in credit risk fund, though personally I do not take any risk at all in my debt portfolio. I reserve all my risk for equity. So here I would be in some gilt fund doing an SIP. In fact, I am doing a SIP in a gilt fund, where suddenly when I see interest rates change and I know my portfolio has fallen, I can go and put in some money. When I see red color there, I put in more money. So these things do happen. So this is one way of building your debt portfolio. But for most people, 3-4 PPF accounts at home, all fully funded, and some NPS, maybe 2 NPS accounts, not 4, all again fully funded, and bank deposits, this largely meets your requirement. Beyond that, some ultra short bond fund, some liquid fund, credit risk fund, and all that is not something which I recommend. But yes, I have put money at a time, I think about 2 years ago, in a credit risk fund because everybody was fleeing it. So something like that. So I have put money, but I am not recommending it to you. Thank you.